Hey everyone, it's Aussie Dad and we're doing another STWAD is Gaming video, and this time we're playing a Nickelodeon kart races where you get to choose from characters that are in the SpongeBob SquarePants show, Rugrats if you remember that, or I don't know if Rugrats is still on, but if it is, well then you'll know, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a different version of the 80s version of the Turtles. These ones look very similar to a lot of the other Nickelodeon characters. Now, as you can see, I've picked Patrick, whatever his last name is. Patrick Star, that's true. And so Patrick is, I've got him doing some awesome things here, like, well, eventually he'll come first in a second. But anyway, I'll explain a little bit about the game. So obviously it's a racing game, it's pretty obvious. You can collect coins, you got boosts, those little green chests give you different things. So it's very similar to Mario Kart, or what's the game? There's another game that used to be on the PlayStation called Speed Freaks, which is also very similar. In the sense where you get power-ups and you're able to shoot them at other different players and all that sort of stuff, so which is pretty cool. This one has like an explosive acorn and look like a milk bottle, like a baby bottle. And there's other few different things that it has too, different power-ups that sort of put pictures on the screen to make it harder for you to see, and other different aspects as well. Now, as you'll notice eventually, this one that I've got at the moment that looks like a bin lid is kind of helps stop you getting hit. So, other than that, some other things to do with the game. Yeah, I do that a couple of times, unfortunately. You'll notice there's slime. See, the pizza comes up. But other than pizza, see the slime that you're going through there? That gives you speed. So if you look on the left hand side, you can see 3 green bars. The slime actually makes them fill up, and then if you're using the Xbox One, which is where I was playing it on, if you push the Y button down, it will give you a speed boost, which is super cool. Other than that, I'm pretty positive the other controls that you use, if you're using an Xbox One, I'm not sure about other different consoles, but right trigger is accelerate, left trigger is drift, and I'm pretty sure it's the A button that makes you shoot the different power-ups that you get out at people or drops them onto the track. So you've got that as well. So yeah, as you can see, so far doing pretty good. This is a great sort of family game though too, because you can play up to 4 players. I'm not sure if it's one of those ones where you can play with cross-platform and do more than 4 players. It could possibly, you'd have to play it to find out. So you might even be able to link up with other people who have got the game, and even maybe, hopefully, with fingers crossed, you might even be able to play up to 8 players or even more. So, but don't quote me on it because I'm not 100% sure on that one. I do know that they do have a solo version of the game or a multiplayer version, but I'm not 100% positive on whether that's like a online multiplayer or a one console multiplayer where you can have up to 4 controllers. So with that regards, you'll just have to give it a go and see how it is. In this video, we've also got the second part of the original Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. Now, the main reason why I'm having this on and not any new content is because 1, it is on the podcast, and 2, for those who might not have Spotify or anything like that, gives them an opportunity to hear those stories too. And the original Diary of a Wimpy Kid book is still the most listened to story on the podcast, funnily enough. I think it's got 100 and, well, it's got over 150,000 listens or plays or whatever they call it. It might be more than that now, but I'll have to go and check the analytics for all of that different stuff. I'm positive that it's close to the 200,000 mark. It might even be over, but again, I'd have to go and check that. So you'll be listening to, I'm pretty sure, yeah, the second part for that. The interesting part is going back and looking at how I used to do things on Spotify when I first started. A lot of the different episodes for the podcast would be roughly about 10 to 15 minutes long. So obviously I stopped doing that and ended up creating longer episodes so that people could have more time to listen to the story and have more of a chance of finishing it earlier, which was also good for me. So anyway, so getting back to Kart Racer, as you can see, I'm coming first. Yes! Awesome! So I'm drifting around. I actually thought that drift gave you the boost to begin with, and then I realised it was the slime that gave you the boost, because you know how sometimes when something's slippery on the road, you think that it's most likely not going to be the thing that gives you, it's going to be the thing that stops you more than anything else. Anyway, I better wrap it up because we're getting closer to story time, and I hope that you go check this game out, give it a go, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Right, now for the story time part of the video, and we're continuing on with the original Diary of a Wimpy Kid book, and we're starting in the month of December.
Thursday. The play is only a couple of days away, and I have no idea how we're going to pull this thing off. First of all, nobody has bothered to learn their lines, and that's all Mrs. Norton's fault. During rehearsal, Mrs. Norton whispers everyone's lines to them from the side of the stage. I wonder how it's going to go next Tuesday when Mrs. Norton is sitting at her piano 30 feet away. Another thing that's screwing everything up is that Mrs. Norton keeps adding new scenes and new characters. Yesterday, she brought in this first grader to play Dorothy's dog Toto, but today, the kid's mum came in and said she wanted her child to walk around on two legs because crawling around on all fours would be too degrading. So now we've got a dog that's going to be walking around on these hind legs for the whole show. But the worst change is that Mrs. Norton actually wrote a song that us trees have to sing. She said everyone deserves a chance to sing in the play. So today we spent an hour learning the worst song that's ever been written, We Three Trees. Thank God Roderick won't be in the audience to see me humiliate myself. Mrs. Norton said the play is going to be a semi-formal occasion, and I know there's no way Roderick is going to wear a tie for a middle school play. But today wasn't all bad. Towards the end of practice, Archie Kelly tripped over Rodney James and chipped his tooth because he couldn't stick his arms out to break his fall. So the good news is they're letting us trees carve out armholes for the performance. Tuesday. Tonight was the big school production of The Wizard of Oz. The first sign that things were not going to go well happened before the play even started. I was peeking through the curtain to check out how many people showed up to see the play, and guess who was standing right up front? My brother Roderick, wearing a clip-on tie. He must have found out I was singing, and he couldn't resist the chance to see me embarrass myself. The play was supposed to start at 8, but it got delayed because Rodney James had stage fright. You'd figure that someone whose job it was to sit on the stage and do nothing could just suck it up for one performance, but Rodney wouldn't budge, and eventually his mum had to carry him off. The play finally got started around 8:30. Nobody could remember their lines, just like I predicted, but Mrs. Norton kept things moving along with her piano. The kid who played Toto brought a stool and a pile of comic books onto the stage, and that totally ruined the whole dog effect. When it was time for the forest scene, me and the other trees hopped into our positions. The curtains rose, and when they did, I heard Manny's voice. Bubby! Great! I've been able to keep that nickname quiet for 5 years, and now all of a sudden the whole town knew it. I could feel about 300 pairs of eyeballs pointed my way. So I did some quick ad-libbing and I was able to deflect the embarrassment over to Archie Kelly. I think you dropped an apple, Bubby. But the major embarrassment was still on the way. When I heard Mrs. Norton playing the first few bars of We Three Trees, I felt my stomach jump. I looked out at the audience and I noticed Roderick was holding a video camera. I knew that if I sang the song and Roderick recorded it, he would keep the tape forever and use it to humiliate me for the rest of my life. I didn't know what to do, so when the time came to start singing, I just kept my mouth shut. For a few seconds there, things went okay. I figured that if I didn't technically sing the song, then Roderick wouldn't have anything to hold over my head, but after a few seconds, the other trees noticed I wasn't singing. I guess they must have thought I knew something that they didn't, so they stopped singing too. Now the three of us were just standing there not saying a word. Mrs. Northern must have thought we forgot the words to the song, because she came over to the side of the stage and whispered the rest of the lyrics to us. The song is only about 3 minutes long, but to me it felt like an hour and a half. I was just praying the curtains would go down so we could hop off the stage. That's when I noticed Paddy Farrell standing in the wings, and if looks could kill, us trees would be dead. She probably thought we were ruining her chances of making it to Broadway or something. Seeing Paddy standing there reminded me why I signed up to be a tree in the first place. Pretty soon, the rest of the trees started throwing apples too. I think Toto even got in on the act. Somebody knocked the glasses off of Paddy's head and one of the lenses broke. Mrs. Northern had to shut down the play after that because Paddy can't see 2 feet in front of her without the glasses. After the play was over, my family went home together. Mum had brought a bouquet of flowers and I guess they were supposed to be for me, but she ended up tossing them in the trash can on the way out the door. I just hope that everyone who came to see the play was entertained as I was. Wednesday. Well, if one good thing came out of the play, it's that I didn't have to worry about the Bubby nickname anymore. I saw Archie Kelly getting hassled in the hallway after 5th period, so it looks like I can finally start to breathe a little easier. Hi there, Bubby. It's got some kid pushing him over. It's not very nice. Anyway, Sunday. With all this stuff going on at school, I haven't even had time to think about Christmas, and it's less than 10 days away. In fact, the only thing that tipped me off that Christmas was coming was when Roderick put his wish list up on the refrigerator. Roderick's wish list. 1. New drums. 2. New van. 3. Shrunken head. I usually make a big wish list every year, but this Christmas, all I really want is this video game called Twisted Wizard. Tonight Manny was going through the Christmas catalogue, picking out all the stuff he wants with a big red marker. Manny was circling every single toy in the catalogue. He was even circling really expensive things like a giant motorised car and stuff like that. So I decided to step in and give him some good big brotherly advice. I told him that if he circled stuff that was too expensive, he was going to end up with a bunch of clothes for Christmas. I said he should just pick 3 or 4 medium price gifts so he would end up with a couple of things he actually wanted. But of course, Manny just went back to circling everything again, so I guess he'll just have to learn the hard way. When I was 7, the only thing I really wanted for Christmas was a Barbie dream house, and not because I like girls' toys like Roderick said. I just thought it would be a really awesome fort for my toy soldiers. When Mum and Dad saw my wish list that year, they got in a big fight over it. Dad said there was no way he's getting me a doll's house, but Mum said it was healthy for me to experiment with whatever kind of toys I wanted to play with. Believe it or not, Dad actually won that argument. Dad told me to start my wish list over and pick some toys that were more appropriate for boys. But I have a secret weapon when it comes to Christmas. My Uncle Charlie always gets me whatever I want. I told him I wanted the Barbie dream house, and he said he'd hook me up. On Christmas, when Uncle Charlie gave me my gift, it was not what I asked for. He must have walked into the toy store and picked up the first thing he saw that had the word Barbie on it. So if you ever see a picture of me where I'm holding a beach fun Barbie, now at least you know the whole story. Dad wasn't really happy when he saw that when he saw what Uncle Charlie got me. He told me to either throw it out or give it away to charity. But I kept it anyway. And, okay, I admit, maybe I took it out and played with it once or twice. That's how I ended up in the emergency room 2 weeks later with a pink Barbie shoe stuck up my nose. And believe me, Roderick has never let me hear the end of that. Thursday. Tonight me and Mum went out to get a gift for the giving tree at church. The giving tree is basically a secret Santa kind of thing where you get a gift for someone who is needy. Mum picked out a red wool sweater for our giving tree guy. I tried to talk Mum into getting something a lot cooler, like a TV or a slushy machine or something like that. Because imagine if all you got at Christmas was a wool sweater. I'm sure our giving tree guy will throw his sweater in the trash, along with the 10 cans of yams we sent his way during the Thanksgiving food drive. Christmas. When I woke up this morning and went downstairs, there were about 1 million gifts under the Christmas tree, but when I started digging around, there were hardly any gifts with my name on them. But Manny made out like a bandit. He got every single thing he circled in the catalogue. No lie. So I bet he's glad he didn't listen to me. I did find a couple of things with my name on them, but they were mostly books and socks and stuff like that. I opened my gifts in the corner behind the couch because I don't like opening gifts near Dad. Whenever someone opens a gift, Dad swoops right in and cleans up after them. I gave Manny a toy helicopter and I gave Roderick a book about rock bands. Roderick gave me a book too, but of course he didn't wrap it. The book he got me was Best of Little Cutie. Little Cutie is the worst comic in the newspaper, and Roderick knows how much I hate it. I think this is the 4th year in a row I've got a Little Cutie book from him. I gave Mum and Dad their gifts. I get them the same kind of thing every year, but parents eat that stuff up. The rest of the relatives started showing up around 11, and Uncle Charlie came at noon. Uncle Charlie brought a big trash bag full of gifts, and he pulled my present out of the top of the bag. The package was the exact right size and shape to be a Twisted Wizard game, so I knew Uncle Charlie came through for me. Mum got the camera ready, and I tore open my gift. But it was an 8x10 picture of Uncle Charlie. I guess I didn't do a good job of hiding my disappointment, and Mum got mad. All I can say is, I'm glad I'm still a kid, because if I had to act happy about the kinds of gifts grown-ups get, I don't think I could pull it off. I went up to my room to take a break for a while. A couple minutes later, Dad knocked on my door. He told me he had my gift for me out in the garage, and the reason it was out there was because it was too big to wrap. And when I walked down to the garage, there was a brand new weight set. That thing must have cost a fortune. I didn't have the heart to tell Dad that I kind of lost interest in the whole weightlifting thing when the wrestling unit ended last week, so I just said thanks instead. I think Dad was expecting me to drop down and start doing some reps or something, but I just excused myself and went back inside. At about 6, all the relatives cleared out. I was sitting on the couch watching Manny play with his toys, feeling pretty sorry for myself. Then Mum came up to me and said that she found a gift behind the piano with my name on it, and it said, "From Santa." The box was way too big for Twisted Wizard, but Mum pulled the same big box trick on me last year when she got me a memory card for my video game system. So I ripped open the package and pulled out my present. Only this wasn't Twisted Wizard either. It was a giant red wool sweater. At first I thought Mum was playing some kind of practical joke on me, because this sweater was the same kind we brought for our giving tree guy. But Mum seemed pretty confused too. She said she did buy me a video game, and that she had no idea what the sweater was doing in my box. And then I figured it out. I told Mum there must have been some kind of mix-up, and I got the giving tree guy's gift, and he got mine. Mum said she used the same kind of wrapping paper for both of our gifts, so she must have written the wrong names on the tags. But then Mum said that this was a really good thing, because the giving tree guy was probably really happy he got such a great gift. I had to explain you need a game system and a TV to play Twisted Wizard, so the game was totally useless to him. Even though my Christmas was not going that great, I'm sure it was going a whole lot worse for the giving tree guy. I kind of decided to throw in a towel for this Christmas and headed up to Rowley's house. I forgot to get a gift for Rowley, so I just slapped a bow on the little cutie book Roderick gave me, and that seemed to do the trick. Rowley's parents have a lot of money, so I can always count on them for a good gift. But Rowley said that this year he picked out my gift himself, and he brought me outside to show me what it was. From the way Rowley was hyping his present, I thought he must have got me a big screen TV or a motorcycle or something. But once again, I let my hopes get too high. Rowley got me a big wheel. I guess I would have thought this was a cool gift when I was in the 3rd grade, but I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with one now. Just so you know, big wheel's a tricycle. Rowley was so enthusiastic about it that I tried my best to act like I was happy anyway. We went back inside and Rowley showed me his Christmas loot. He sure got a lot of stuff. Oh, a lot more stuff than I did. He even got Twisted Wizard, so at least I can play it when I come to his house. That is, until Rowley's dad finds out how violent it is. And boy, you've never seen someone as happy as Rowley with his little cutie book. His mum said it was the only thing on his list that he didn't get. Well, I'm glad someone got what they wanted today. New Year's Eve. In case you're wondering what I'm doing in my room at 9 PM on New Year's Eve, let me fill you in. Earlier today, me and Manny were horsing around in the basement. I found a tiny black ball of thread on the carpet, and I told Manny it was a spider. Then I held it over him, pretending that I was going to make him eat it. Right when I was about to let Manny go, he slapped my hand and made me drop the thread. And guess what? That fool swallowed it. Well, Manny completely lost his mind. He ran upstairs to where Mum was, and I knew I was in big trouble. Manny told Mum I made him eat a spider. I told her there was no spider, and that it was just a tiny ball of thread. Mum brought Manny over to the kitchen table. Then she put a seed, a raisin, and a grape on a plate, and told Manny to point to the thing that was the closest in size to the piece of thread he swallowed. Manny took a while to look over the things on the plate. Then he walked over to the refrigerator and pulled out an orange. So that's why I got sent to bed at 7, and I'm not downstairs watching the New Year's Eve special on TV. And that's also why my only New Year's resolution is to never play with Manny again. January. Wednesday. I found a way to have some fun with the big wheel. A big wheel's just a trike. Rowley got me for Christmas. I came up with this game where one guy rides down a hill and the other guy tries to knock him off with a football. Rowley was the first one down the hill and I was the thrower. It's a lot harder to hit a moving target than I thought. Plus, I didn't get a lot of practice. It took Rowley like 10 minutes to walk the big wheel back up the hill after every trip down. Rowley kept asking to switch places and have me be the one who rides the big wheel. But I'm no fool. That thing was hitting 35 miles an hour and it didn't have any brakes. Anyway, I never did knock Rowley off the big wheel today, but I guess I have something to work at over the rest of the Christmas vacation. Thursday. I was heading up to Rowley's today to play our big wheel game again, but Mum said I had to finish my Christmas thank yous before I went out anywhere. I thought I could just crank out my thank you cards in a half hour, but when it came to actually writing them, my mind went blank. Let me tell you, it's not easy writing thank you notes for stuff you didn't want in the first place. I started with the non-close items because I thought that'd be the easiest, but after 2 or 3 cards I realised I was practically writing the same thing every time. So I wrote up a general form on the computer with blanks for the things that needed to change. Writing the cards from there was a breeze. Dear Aunt Lydia, thank you so much for the awesome encyclopedia. How did you know I wanted that for Christmas? I love the way the encyclopedia looks on my shelf. All my friends will be so jealous that I have my very own encyclopedia. Thank you for making this the best Christmas ever. Sincerely, Greg. My system worked out pretty well for the first couple of gifts, but after that, not so much. Dear Aunt Loretta, thank you so much for the awesome pants. How did you know I wanted that for Christmas? I love the way the pants looks on my legs. All my friends will be so jealous that I have my very own pants. Thank you for making this the best Christmas ever. Sincerely, Greg. Friday. I finally knocked Rowley off the big wheel today, but it didn't happen the way I expected. I was trying to hit him in the shoulder, but I missed and the football went under the front tyre. Rowley tried to break his fall by sticking out his arms, but he landed pretty hard on his left hand. I figured he'd just shake it off and get right back on the bike, but he didn't. I tried to cheer him up, but all the jokes that usually crack him up weren't working. So I knew he must be hurt pretty bad. Monday. Christmas vacation is over and now we're back at school. And you remember Rowley's big wheel accident? Well, he broke his hand and now he has to wear a cast. And today everyone was crowding around him like he was a hero or something. I tried to cash in on some of Rowley's new popularity, but it totally backfired. I'm the one who broke his hand. You meanie. At lunch, a bunch of girls invited Rowley over to their table so they could feed him. What really ticks me off about that is that Rowley is right-handed, and it's his left hand that's broken, so he can feed himself just fine. Tuesday. I realised Rowley's injury thing is a pretty good racket, so I decided it was time for me to have an injury of my own. I took some bandages from home and I wrapped up my hand to make it look like it was hurt. I couldn't figure out why the girls weren't swarming like they swarmed rarely, but then I realised what the problem was. See, the cast is a great gimmick because everyone wants to sign their name on it, but it's not exactly easy to sign bandage with a pen. So I came up with a solution that I thought was just as good. The idea was a total bust too. My bandage did end up attracting attention from a couple of people, but believe me, they were not the type of people I was going for. He said that the bandage was a sympathy sheet. Monday. Last week we started the third quarter at school, so now I have a whole bunch of new classes. One of the classes I signed up for was something called independent study. I wanted to sign up for home economics too, because I was pretty good at home ec 1. But being good at sewing does not exactly buy you popularity points at school. Anyway, this independent study thing is an experiment they're trying out at our school for the first time. The idea is that the class gets assigned a project, and then you have to work on it together with no teacher in the room for the whole quarter. The catch is that when you're done, everyone in your group gets the same grade. I found out that Ricky Fisher is in my class, which could be a big problem. Ricky's big claim to fame is that he'll pick the gum off the bottom of a desk and chew it if you pay him 50 cents. So I don't really have high hopes for our final grade. Tuesday. Today we got our independent study assignment, and guess what it is? We have to build a robot. At first, everybody kind of freaked out because we thought we were going to have to build a robot from scratch. But Mr. Darnell told us we don't have to build an actual robot, we just need to come up with ideas for what our robot might look like and what kinds of things it would be able to do. Then he left the room and we were on our own. We started brainstorming right away. I wrote down a bunch of ideas on the blackboard. Everybody was pretty impressed with my ideas, but it was easy to come up with them. All I did was write down all the things I hate doing myself. But a couple of the girls got up to the front of the room and they had some ideas of their own. They erased my list and drew up their own plan. They wanted to invent a robot that would give you dating advice and have 10 types of lip gloss on its fingertips. All us guys thought this was the stupidest idea we ever heard. So we ended up splitting into two groups, girls and boys. The boys went to the other side of the room while the girls stood around talking. Now that we had all the serious workers in one place, we got to work. Someone had the idea that you can say your name to the robot and it can say it back to you. But then someone else pointed out that you shouldn't be able to use bad words for your name, because the robot shouldn't be able to swear. So we decided we should come up with a list of all the bad words the robot shouldn't be able to say. We came up with all the regular bad words, but then Ricky Fisher came up with 20 more the rest of us had never even heard before. So Ricky ended up being one of the most valuable contributors on this project. Right before the bell rang, Mr. Darnell came back in the room to check on our progress. He picked up the piece of paper we were writing on and read it over. To make a long story short, independent study is cancelled for the rest of the year. Well, at least it is for us boys. So if the robots in the future are going around with cherry lip gloss for fingers, at least now you know how it all got started. Thursday. In school today they had a general assembly and showed the movie It's Great to Be Me, which they show us every year. The movie is all about how you should be happy with who you are and not change anything about yourself. To be honest with you, I think that's a really dumb message to be telling kids, especially the ones at my school. Later on, they made an announcement that there are some openings on the safety patrols, and that got me thinking. If someone picks on the safety patrol, it can get them suspended. The way I figure it, I can use any extra protection I can get. Plus, I realised that maybe being in a position of authority could be good for me. I went down to Mr. Winsky's office and signed myself up, and I got Riley to sign up too. I thought Mr. Winsky would make us do a bunch of chin-ups or jumping jacks or something to prove we were up for the job, but he just handed us our belts and badges on the spot. Mr. Winsky said the openings were for a special assignment. Our school's right next to the elementary school and they've got a half-day kindergarten there. He wants us to walk the morning session kids home in the middle of the day. I realised that meant we would miss 20 minutes of pre-algebra. Rowley must have figured that out too, because he started to speak up. But I gave him a wicked pinch underneath the desk before he could finish his sentence. I couldn't believe my luck. I was getting instant bully protection and a free pass from half of pre-algebra, and I didn't even have to lift a finger. Tuesday. Today was our first day as safety patrols. Me and Rowley don't technically have stations like all the other patrols, so that means we don't have to stand out in the freezing cold for an hour before school. But that didn't stop us from coming to the cafeteria for the free hot chocolate they hand out to the other patrols before homeroom. Another great perk is that you get to show up 10 minutes late for first period. I'm telling you, I've got it made with this safety patrol thing. At 12:15, me and Rowley left school and walked the kindergarteners home. The whole trip ate up 45 minutes, and there were only 20 minutes of pre-algebra left when we got back. Walking the kids home was no sweat, but one of the kindergarteners started to smell a little funny, and I think maybe he had an accident in his pants. He tried to let me know about it, but I just stared straight ahead and kept walking. I'll take these kids home, but believe me, I didn't sign up for any diaper duty.
Alright, and that's the end of the story for this video. Thanks for listening and watching the video content. I hope you enjoyed watching kart races while hearing the Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. Alright, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you soon. Alright, bye for now.